Welcome to the EntreSkills for Educators webinar. This webinar is intended to give you a quick overview of EntreSkills. So I'll cover what EntreSkills is, how to register as a teacher, how to have your students register. We'll look at the content and the educator features, and I'll answer any questions that you might have. So EntreSkills can be found by going to EntreSkills.org, and it's the New York Small Business Development Center's online entrepreneurial education tool created with the help of teachers and our New York SBDC business advisors. It's used by high schools, colleges, and community organizations, and also our SBDC clients. The educator version consists of 16 chapters covering the basics of starting and growing a business. There's also a business plan builder, a business model canvas builder, and additional resources. And I like to always point out there's no wrong way to use EntreSkills. I have some teachers using the entire program and others are just using select chapters or other content such as the business plan builder or the business model canvas builder. And a helpful hint is if you're going to have your students register, you should create your own test student account for your own use so you can see what your students will be seeing. So to register as a teacher, you'll go to EntreSkills.org, click on register, and then select register as a teacher. You create your own username and password. They are case sensitive, so keep that in mind. You can use your email address as a username and just fill out the requested information. When you get to this part, select what you are associated with. If you don't see your school district or your community organization listed here, please contact us before registering. And you can do that just by clicking on this contact link here on the website. And so once you go ahead and select your school affiliation and create your password, click submit. Once the EntreSkills team receives your registration request, we'll then go ahead and activate your account. You'll receive an email letting you know that your account has been activated. And that's all there is to it. We do ask that you use your professional email address when you are registering. And when you go to log in, if you get an error or if you forgot your username or your password, you can click on this I forgot my username or password button, fill out the requested information, and the system will send you an email with your username and a new temporary password. If you get an error message here, it either means the information you input doesn't match what's in your account, or you might not have an account. And in that case, just go ahead and contact us using the contact button on the website. And I do want to point out that you can sign up for our educator newsletter here. And you can also connect with us on social media and follow our YouTube channel by clicking on these links down here. And our privacy policy and terms of use statements can be found right here. So I'll go ahead and log in as an educator. So this is the main menu of a teacher's account, and you can see the 16 chapters are listed right here. And then this menu here are all of the educator features. So I'll just take a quick look at the chapter content since you do have access to this. Every chapter starts out with an overview page listing the objectives for each chapter. You can jump to the sections here or just simply click the next and back buttons. Each chapter starts with a success story, and we have links to outside resources. Chapter 1, Section 4 gives an overview of all of the chapter content. And as you move through the chapters, you'll encounter videos of some of our Small Business Development Center clients, and you'll also come across two sets of questions. And the first set of questions you'll encounter are these worksheet questions. And these won't go into the business plan. They'll reinforce what was covered in the chapter and help you get thinking about what you'll put into your business plan. And when students answer these questions in the chapter and click Save, the answers that are put here, teachers will be able to see from their accounts. And I'll show you how to see your students' work a little bit later. So it's important that everybody click Save after typing anything in here. So worksheets are the first types of questions that are found in the chapters. So chapter 1 is pretty light. It talks about EntreSkills, how to use it, who produced it. Talks a little bit about the New York Small Business Development Center, which is a great free resource for anyone looking for information on starting or growing a business in New York State. When you get to the end of a chapter, you have an option, the option of marking it as complete. By default, in progress will be checked. To mark it as complete, you just click on that. Jumping ahead to Chapter 4, Section 2 is where the second set of questions embedded in the chapters can be found, and these are the business plan questions. And whatever answers are put into these boxes will go into the rough draft of the business plan. And again, this is work that teachers can see from their account. And it's important that users click the Save button, otherwise their work will not be saved. And we do highly recommend that answers to these questions be typed in complete sentences, and that will eliminate or reduce the amount of editing that needs to be done with the business plan, with the final business plan. So Chapter 4, Section 2 is where you'll find the business plan questions start. The finances chapter is another one I like to point out. We have a financials workbook. It's an Excel spreadsheet that can be downloaded. And the finances chapter, many of the sections walk you through using that workbook. So if you were to assign to your students throughout the semester to read chapters 1 through 15 and answer all the questions they encounter, by the end of chapter 15, they'll have a rough draft of a business plan. And that business plan, you can also access it by clicking on this business plan link at the top of the page. And I'll get into that a little bit later. Our newest chapter is the business model canvas chapter. And this chapter talks about the business model canvas and walks you through filling out a business model canvas. And I've done separate webinars on the business model canvas. So if you're interested in learning more about how to use the business model canvas, look for those webinars on our YouTube channel. So that's a quick look at the chapter content. Now, if you wanted to see the work that your students have done on their business plan or on their worksheet questions, one way to do that is to click on either this business plan button or this business plan link here. It brings you to the business plan summary page. And then you would select a student from the drop-down menu. If you have a lot of students or multiple classes, you can select the class first to filter the list, and then select the student. And then that student's work will populate the business plan fields. And to see each section, you click on the heading, and you'll see the work that they've done. If you don't see anything in these boxes, either they didn't save their work or they haven't done the work yet, or just verify that you have a student selected up here. And some of these sections have subsections. So you just click on these tabs to see that work. And that's how you would view a work that your student does on his or her business plan. To see another student, just select a different student from the drop-down list. Now you can type in these boxes. If you do, I recommend you use all caps so that the student can tell what you've typed in there. And whatever you type, you need to click Save for that work to be saved. You can also send a comment to a student using this comment feature. It's pretty self-explanatory. Just click on Add New Comment, type comment here, click Save, and the student will see that comment when he or she logs into his or her account and goes to their business plan section. You can export a business plan as a Word or a text file. If you don't have Microsoft Office, that's fine, because with Google, you could, if you have a Google account, you can upload it into a Google Docs document and view it there and edit it there. So that's how you'd look at the work that your students do on their business plan. And then to look at the work that they do on their worksheet questions. And again, the worksheet questions and the business plan questions are embedded in the chapters. So to look at worksheet work, you just click on that worksheet button and it operates the same way. You can filter by class and then select a student. And then that student's work will populate these fields. And these are organized by chapter and section. We don't have a comments section in here, so if you did want to comment on a student's work, you would just type in these boxes directly. And again, use all caps so your work is easily distinguished from the student's, and then click Save, and the student will be able to see that. So these are all the worksheet questions found throughout the chapters. If you needed to change your password, you can click on your username up here, click on My Account. You can change your name, your email address, and your password in here. The business model canvas link up here brings you to the business model canvas builder, and this operates in a similar fashion as the worksheet and business plan questions do, in that you can select your students from these drop-down menus, and any work that they've done on the business model canvas will populate these fields. And again, I've done separate trainings on the business model canvas, so go to our YouTube channel to find those. Now a student can create multiple canvases. So to see, you can select a BMC version from this drop-down list. And you can also type in these boxes. Again, you need to click Save, and here you can also add comments. So that's a quick look at how you would view the work your students do on business plans, worksheet questions, and on the business model canvas. If we look at this resources link, you'll see there are also links, again, to the chapter worksheets in the business plan. We also have a list of references by chapter. There's a glossary of terms found throughout EntreSkills. There are also more than what's found in EntreSkills. There are general business terms in here, so it's a pretty comprehensive glossary. Supplemental activities. This is a list of suggested activities for each chapter. For individual discussion, questions, writing prompts, collaborative activities. And then crosswalks and activities. The activities here just are vocabulary puzzles. So the teacher accounts have the puzzles themselves and the answer keys. The students' accounts have just the puzzles and of course not the answer keys. And then the chapter crosswalks are the curriculum maps for each chapter. So again, you have access to all of that, so I won't spend a lot of time there. So that's a quick look at the chapter content, all the links up here. Now we'll get into the Educator menu. So the My Classes button will bring you to a list of any classes, of all the classes you've created in EntreSkills. So when you have a brand new Educator account, you won't see anything here because you're the one who creates a class. And the reason you would create a class is to generate a class ID that you would give to your students to enable them to register. And that class ID is what ties that student's account to your account and enables you to see any work that they do. So to create a new class, it's pretty easy. Just click on the Create a New Class button, enter the required information. I'm not going to worry too much about what I put in here. And then click Create Class. Once you do, oops. You'll see that your class has been created and it'll give you this class ID. And then if you go back to your My Class list, you'll see that newly created class right here. And again, the class ID is there. So that is what you'd give your students to register. So I'm going to just jump over and show you how you'd have your students register. So you'd have them go to EntreSkills.org, click on the Register button, and click Register as a Student. Now they are also asked to create their own username and their own password. And so it might be beneficial to give them some guidance on what to use as their username and for their passwords. And again, they're case sensitive, so maybe have them use all lowercase, maybe tell them to use their email address or their last name for their username, but give them some guidance so that that'll cut down on login issues going forward. And then they'll be asked to select their school or organization affiliation. So in this example, we'll just go with a school district, school name, then they'll select the teacher's name, and then this is where they need that class ID. So here's that ID for that class that I just created. And then they'll create their own password and click Submit. They'll get an email letting them know that their registration information has been received. They won't be able to log in until you've activated their accounts. So to activate your student's account, you can do it a couple of ways. The easiest way is just go to the Students button. Any students awaiting activation will be highlighted here in yellow, and all you need to do is click on this Activate Now button. Once you do that, they'll receive an email letting them know that their account has been activated and they can go ahead and log in. If your school has a firewall and it blocks EntreSkills emails from EntreSkills.org, your students will not receive those emails. So if that becomes an issue, you might want to tell your IT department to allow email from EntreSkills.org. So going back to the My Classes button, so we've covered creating a class and what the class ID is for. So the Edit Details button, this would just enable you to change the name or the date and time. Students button brings you to a list of students in that class, and here you can also activate students. You can send an email to the entire class. The Assignments button will show you what assignments you've assigned to that class. And you can deactivate a class. And if you do this, it'll erase that class from your account. It will also permanently deactivate all students tied to that class, so their accounts will be gone. So just keep that in mind if you do deactivate. You might use this deactivation function at the end of a semester after you've downloaded grades, or if you've created a class by mistake, you can deactivate it, and then it'll be removed from this list. So that's a quick look at the My Classes menu. And this is the same button that we saw here, Create a Class. The Students button brings you to a list of all your students in all of your classes. So if you have multiple classes, they'll all show up here. You can filter by class. If you had a lot of students, you can search for their name by typing it into this box here. And again, from here, you can activate or deactivate a student. You click on the Plan button, it brings you to that student's business plan. If you click on the Worksheets button, it brings you to that student's worksheets, which again, those two questions or two sets of questions are found throughout the chapters. Deactivating deactivates the student. And then if you click on the Details button, if you've assigned any assignments through EntreSkills, their average on those assignments will show up here. You can give them an optional grade on their business plan here. Just type in the number and click Save. You can also give a grade on worksheets. Just again, type it in and click Save, and you can adjust this overall average by typing in a number here and clicking Save. This will show a quick summary of what assignments a student has to do, what they've done, what they've missed. So it's just an overview of that student's EntreSkills work. You can see if they've marked any chapters complete by clicking on this View Chapter Status button. If a student has registered for an account, but it selected the wrong class ID, you can move them to the proper class. Just select the proper class and click Save, and that student will be moved to that class. And then you can delete the student from here. So say somebody who's not even in any of your classes has registered, you can delete them altogether, or if they've dropped the class and you don't need to keep any records, you can delete them. So that's a quick look at the Students button. I'll get back to the My Assignments and the questions in just a little bit. The Business Plan and Worksheet buttons we've already covered. If you click on those, you can go to the Business Plan Summary section or the Worksheet Summary section and look at the work that your students have done. We've also already looked at the crosswalks and activities. There's a course certificate, which is a PDF. So you could either fill this out and either download it or print it out and mail it or hand it to or email it to your students. If you click on this, it just brings you to the last chapter page that you visited. And this comment manager button, this is a way to send comments to a class or a whole or a student. So it's just an alternative to emailing them. Some students don't have their own email addresses and they register for an EntreSkills account using their teacher's email address. So that might be a time where you'd want to use the comment manager to communicate with your students right in EntreSkills. So now we'll go to this My Assignments section. And I'm going to do a separate webinar on just the assignments because there's a lot to it. So this will just be a quick overview of how the assignments work. So the My Assignments button will bring you to a list of assignments. Most of these assignments are assignments that you would create. So when you have a brand new EntreSkills account, the only assignments you'll see listed here are the SBDC pre and post assessments. You can't edit these, but you can view them to see what they're all about. And if you wanted to assign those to a class, you'd just simply click on Add to Class, select the class you're assigning it to, the date and time available. It's important that you pay attention to the date and the time because the student will not be able to take the assignment or work on the assignment until this date available and time available is reached. And also the date due. Once this date due is reached and this date or the time due is reached, it'll no longer be available to the students. So if they try to work on this on October 1st, they won't be able to. It'll be past due. So you click Add Assignment to Class, and now that assignment has been assigned to the class. For assignments that you've created, which I'll show you how to do in just a minute, you can edit the assignment details, and that's simply the name of the assignment and the chapter association. Here you can also delete an assignment. If you click on the Edit, Reorder, Remove, it brings you to all the questions in that assignment, and here you can change the order of the questions by clicking on these up and down arrows. You can change the point value for questions by typing in the number and then click Save Points. And you can edit a question by clicking on the Edit button. So maybe you had selected the wrong answer. So you can make your changes and click Save, or if you're good with what's there, you can click Cancel. And if an assignment has not been assigned to a class, you can also add or remove questions. This is the question bank in EntreSkills, which I'll get into more detail in just a moment. So that's a quick look at the My Assignments page. So again, all these are created by the user. These two are built into the system. So to create a new assignment, you can click on this button here, or you can do it from the main menu page. So you give your assignment a name, chapter association, click Save. Once you do that, it brings you to that question bank. Now the question bank contains two sections. The first set of questions are already in EntreSkills, and then the second set of questions are ones that you've created. So again, if you have a brand new account, you won't see any questions here until you create your own. You can filter the questions by chapter. You can filter them by type too. If you click on this, this will sort them. If you click on the type heading, and you can see we have true, false, short answer, multiple choice. There are essay questions in here. And to add a question to the assignment, you just click on the Add button. So you can add questions from the EntreSkills canned questions, and then if you've created any of your own, you can also add them. You can, again, filter by chapter. Once you're done adding the questions, you click on this Edit and Assign Points, and then you can see which questions you've added to the assignment. You can change the point value. You can also edit a question here. You can reorder them. And then you're done. So then if you went back to your My Assignments list, you'd see that newly created assignment down here. So that's a quick look at creating assignments. Now the Questions button brings you to the list of questions that you've created. So again, with a brand new account, you'll see nothing here. And here you can edit or delete the questions. If it's a bad question, you can just get rid of it or fix it. You can filter this list by the type of question and by the chapter affiliation. And you can create a new question by clicking on this button, or from the main menu page, click on Create Questions. And you can see you can create multiple choice, essay, true, false, fill in the blank, and short answer. EntreSkills will auto-grade multiple choice and true, false questions. So just follow the instructions. If it's multiple choice, you'd select which answer is correct. You can select a chapter association and then click Create Question, and then that question will show up in your list of questions. So that's a quick look at creating questions, the question bank, the list of assignments, and creating assignments and assigning assignments. So now I'm going to log in as a student. And I can see that my teacher sent me some comments, so I can read them here. I can see if I have any assignments due, and I don't. I have no new assignments. And you can see the student chapters are the same as what teachers have. Now here's an assignment that's available to work on. So the student can start working on it. So they would just select the correct answer or type in. If they don't have time to finish it in one sitting, they can click Submit. And then go back to their My Assignments list and continue working on it when they have more time. And they can continue working on it until the date due and the time due has been reached. From here, they can also see if an assignment has been completed and graded. They can see what the answers were and what they got wrong or what they got right. And again, if you create a test student account, you can see how this works Now, students can access the chapter worksheet questions all in one location by clicking on this link here. And again, these are the same questions that are found in the chapters. So they can work on the questions here. Or they can work on the questions here. And the same with a business plan. They could just click on the business plan link and work on their business plan from this part. Or you could have them read through the chapter content, and work on their business plan that way. So that's a quick look at a student's account. Now I'm back to my teacher account. And to grade assignments, and I'm going to get into this in more detail on a separate assignments webinar, but you would simply click on the My Classes button, click on Assignments for that class, and then click on the View Grade Assignments button. And here you'll see assignments that are awaiting a grade. So this is supposed to be an essay question, so you would see what their answer was and then assign points and click Submit. And that's all there is to grading. Realize that's a simple example. Now, this part here is the grade list. So this shows for every student in your class their grade or their status for every assignment you've assigned them. So you can export this list to have for your records. You can, if a student missed an assignment, you can extend it from here. You can also adjust a grade. So say there was an error made, click Adjust Grade, and you can override the points and click Submit. And that test grade will be changed. From this grade list, you can only extend an assignment for that particular student. And then that assignment will be open to them again and they can continue working on it. So you just put in the new due date, new due time, and click Update, and they'll be able to continue working on it from their account. And here's just another quick way to add an assignment to a class from this area. You can see that there's one assignment open for this class. If you're hearing that your students need more time to work on it, you can extend the due date from here, and you can extend it for the entire class or for a student only. Choose the new due date and time, and again, once that date and time are reached, it will no longer be available. You can also extend closed assignments, again in the same way, and for a class or just for a student. So that's a quick look at the assignments feature. And a quick overview of how to use EntreSkills. And again, I've done different webinars for just the business model canvas and prompt us for the assignments. So if you want to see those, just click Connect on the EntreSkills website and click YouTube, and that will bring you to our YouTube channel. And remember to follow us on Twitter and Facebook, and sign up for our newsletter too. And that concludes this webinar.